Traditions and customs are national treasure. Kazakh people observe traditions over many centuries. The Great Steppe is an amulet of the country. You can watch the customs and traditions of the Kazakhs in the Modern Nomads program. Tradition is the national identity document of a nation. It is steppe civilization preserved over several centuries and came down to us through thousands of years. Kazakh traditions are divided into several types based on existence forms. For example, there are established traditions related to cattle farming and agriculture. In addition, culture appeared as a result of the nomadic way of life, and it is of particular importance. These all are traditions and customs of the Kazakh nomads.
Салт, дәстүр мыңдаған жылдарда қалыптасып, сөйтіп дамыған, сөйтіп жаңа біздің халық ретінде қалыптасты. Мысалы біздің Қазаққа
Traditions were established over thousands of years, then developed and ingrained in people's life. If to take our Kazakh people since times of Jibek and Kire Khans, the foundation of the Kazakh Khanate, 550 years have passed. It seems like our nation is very young, but in fact the tribes that form the nation have existed for thousands of years. The traditions of those tribes became the traditions of the Kazakh people. Therefore, if to look deeper, the history of our traditions started thousands of years ago.
біздің қазақ халқының салт дәстүрі болып қалыптасты. Сондықтан бұның түбіне қарай не қылсақ, мыңдаған жылдар кетті.
Kazakh is a unified nation. They inhabited the land from Altai to Otrau with scattered population. It may be an achievement of the nomadic way of life. Characters and languages of people do not vary a lot. Also, they share the same traditions. And only some traditions differ due to the people's environment and activities they were engaged in. For example, the Kazakhs from the mountainous areas as Altai, Tarbagatai, developed cattle farming very well. Thus, they preserved the traditions associated with cattle farming. Whereas South Kazakhstan, Jambul, and Kizloorda regions have favorable conditions for agriculture. Therefore, these regions have many traditions related to agriculture.
Түгел сақталып қалмағанымен сол кейбір мысалда түрлері сақталып қалды, және кейбірі жаңғырту үстінде.
If not all, but some traditions are preserved, and a few of them are being modernized. Not traditions, but customs are becoming up to date. There are regions where our ancestors' entire heritage, namely their traditions and customs, are preserved. They're kept among Kazakhs in China and Mongolia, even among Kazakhs in Uzbekistan.
Өңірлерде бар. Мысалы ол Қытай қазақтар, Моңғол қазақтар. Тіпті болмағанда мысалы ары кетпесек, мысалы өзбек қазақтарында біз мысалы соған жеткізсек болады.
In contrast, Kazakhs in Europe and Russia do not keep their own traditions. They became part of the nations around them and started to follow their traditions. They're losing their national identity and language, hence traditions are preserved wherein the population is concentrated.
Сондықтан бұл айту қиын. Сондықтан қазір топтасып тұрған жерлерде сақталып қалды. Қазақтың салт дәстүрінде былай қарағанда, қарап тұрсақ, бұның бәрі ұрпақ тәрбиелеу үшін.
The main idea of Kazakh traditions is children's upbringing. For instance, traditions and customs initially fitted in one family, one kin, and then spread to the whole nation. As there are a lot of traditions and customs associated with its culture, one of them that should be highlighted is children's upbringing, the issue of raising the generation.
Кәсібіне байланысты тағы сол сияқты. Бірақ соның ішіндегі ең бір үлкен көңіл бөлетін салт дәстүрдің үлкен бірі бұл бала тәрбиелеу, ұрпақ өсіру мәселесі.
Traditions changed over time and improved from one generation to the next. It is known that some traditions, owing to the changes in the way of life, were out of use at all, and some attitudes are common for all Turkic nations. For example, bisike balu, to swaddle an infant in a Kazakh cradle. This tradition is different in different regions. In ancient times, bisike salu was a big tradition that grew in a large celebration. Swaddling an infant in a Kazakh cradle had various rituals. Today, this tradition is kept only in the South Kazakhstan region, but it doesn't look like in earlier times. Today, there is a novelty in this tradition. A cradle is brought by the baby's mother's relatives.
кейбір біздің салт дәстүріміз сол түркі халықтарына ортақ. Мысалы, жаңа бесікке бөлу.
Some of our traditions are shared with other Turkic nations. Among them, there is Bisike Baulu. We have common traditions with Karakalpak, Bashkir, and Kyrgyz people, as Sogim Soyu, cutting a horse to stock up meat for winter. Sogim Basin Beru, invite guests to treat with Sogim. These traditions help build a tight connection between nations. When swaddling a baby in a cradle, mothers used to tell stories and sing songs to the baby while swinging the cradle. It is believed that a child will never forget his mother tongue as he listened to his mother in the cradle.
Баланың құлағына бірден жеткізеді. Осы бала ешқашанда жаңа қазақ тілін ұмытуы мүмкін емес.
Kazakhs are a nation that has thousands of years of its history and which preserved its nomadic traditions to today. Therefore, our national traditions are distinguished customs of steppe culture. Any tradition related to children's upbringing is the same. Tusao Kisu, Sundiet Toy. These traditions make it clear that all nomads weren't indifferent to the children's upbringing. And traditions related to girls, as Sirga Salu, put on earrings, or Kulak Tesu, to pierce ears, are part of the Kazakh culture. Because from the day when a girl's ears are pierced, she starts to preen herself. This is preparation for the future.
Дәстүр сақталмаған халық сақталмауы мүмкін. Себебі дәстүр деген біз мына қазір
People whose traditions are not preserved cannot exist as a nation. We are here because we follow the nomadic way of life. We brought nomads culture to the world. Nomadic culture is a great culture.
Көшпенділердің мәдениетін алып келдік. Көшпенділердің мәдениеті ол үлкен мәдениет. Сол үлкен мәдениетті біз әкеліп тұрмыз. Біз сияқты осындай көшіп жүрген көшпенді халықтар әкеліп тұр. Бұл кәдімгі дүниежүзінің мәдениетіне қосылған үлкен үлес. Оның әдебиеті, оның мәдениеті, соның салт дәстүрі.
Nomads' culture, customs, and traditions are a vast concept. It has been proven that we are the carriers of culture. We should be proud of that and of being descendants of the nomads. We should not support those who have negative attitudes to nomads.
Ол біз қарама-қарсы пиғылда болуымыз керек. Себебі біз осыған жаңағы қуануымыз керек.
Ear piercing and putting on earrings, these customs served a certain purpose in Kazakh girls' upbringing. Girls whose ears were pierced and were wearing earrings are considered as a girl with a good temper. Ear piercing is a very serious tradition. These days, all girls are brought together and experienced older women are invited. A table is prepared for a meal and guests are invited. First of all, the rituals of ear piercing are performed. In earlier times, ears were pierced by a grain of millet and a needle. This also was performed by experienced women. However, many traditions associated with the younger generation's upbringing are mainly devoted to boys rather than girls. It has its own meaning.
Сонда ұрпақ өсіру, әсіресе ер бала өсіру біздің қазақ үшін басты мәселе болды. Осыған байланысты ең негізгі дәстүрлер, жақсы дәстүрлердің бәрі ұрпақ өсіруге байланысты болды. Осы адамның туы мен өлу аралығындағы.
Raising children, especially boys, were a big issue for Kazakh people. In this regard, all basic traditions were devoted to raising children. A human's life, starting from his birth to his death, is full of events. All these events are associated with traditions. They're devoted to different stages of life, and they start from those devoted to children's upbringing. As I mentioned, the main issue was growing children, raising boys. Therefore, people wanted to have boys since they were bearers of a family name. There are a lot of customs associated with pregnant women. One of them is craving for certain foods during pregnancy.
Мысалы жаңағы әйел бала жүкті болып екі қабат болғанның өзінде қаншама дәстүрлер бар. Мысалы, соның біреуін айтайық. Мысалы айтайық, жиірек болу.
Our ancestors, who put children at the top, first of all took care of the mother. A pregnant woman had more restrictions according to customs. They made all efforts to grow healthy and good generations from the very day on which a celebration, Kursak Shashu, was held. They considered it as a duty to determine food she developed a sudden urge for and to revive her spirit. Every nomad regarded it as an obligation to serve a pregnant woman. Therefore, women were highly respected. Since the continuation of the family depended on them, the nation is created by a generation. Children's health is the nation's well-being.
Қазақ екі қабат әйелді ешқашанда түнде далаға жалғыз шығармайды. Ешқашанда қазақ
Kazakh people do not permit a pregnant woman to walk alone at night. They do not allow pregnant women to eat camel's meat. The reason for this is that as mothers' camels give birth to a calf in 12 months, they were afraid of the pregnancy period would be longer and there would be hard labor pains.
ырымдар жасап, тыйымдар жасайды әрбірдің кейді. Түнде мысалы кір жұмбау, мысалы шашын неғымау, шығармау. Тағы сол сияқты мысалы осындай ырым-сырымдар нәрсе. Енді мына осы бала өмірге келуі. Енді бала өмірге келгеннен кейін
They had their restrictions. For example, not allowing to wash clothes or to cover heads with a headscarf. There are some customs and rituals performed when giving birth to a child and during labor pains. Arrival of a new baby is a great event. There are thousands of customs in Kazakh ethnography.
Көптеген нәрселер бар. Этнографияда жалпы біздің қазақты салт дәстүрдің көптеген мыңдаған мысалы нәрселер бар.
Every tradition develops certain practical features as well. For example, Joly's kazan, a ritual performed to relieve labor pain. It is associated with a meal being cooked in a large cooking pot at the same time when labor pains occur. This tradition has other types in different regions. For instance, a man starts to sharpen a knife. There is a belief that this makes the labor go faster and a newborn baby will be sharp-minded as a knife. Then all bags, boxes, and packages are opened and unpacked. This means that a baby will be delivered more easily. These all are traditions that are held to wish a mother and a baby good health.
Пышақталып қайрайды. Содан дыбыс шығады ғой. Сол жаңағы әсер етеді деген ұғым болған. Сөйтіп жаңа тамақ пісіреді. Сол ана толғақпен жарысады. Осындай бір әрекеттер болған.
When a woman is in labor, someone sharpens a knife. It is believed that this scraping sound affects labor pains. At the same time, they cook meals as competing with labor pains. It is called Joly's kazan. One more thing that should be mentioned is that in nomads' life, they pack things in a package, put them in bags and tie them. But when a woman is in labor, they untie all bags and unpack all packages, then open the chest lids. Also, they wave feathers and shot guns when a woman had labor pains. These all are performed to relieve labor pains.
Қатты толғақ жаңа болмай атқанда, сонымен не жасайтын. Болмаса жаңа мылтық атып, соның дауысынан жаңа не қылатын. Сондай осындай әрекеттер болады.
One of the customs devoted to newborns are assigning a kindik sheshe, a godmother, a woman who cuts the umbilical cord at birth. Godmother was chosen before the child was born. Any woman couldn't be a godmother, because there is a belief that a new baby born will look like a woman who cut the umbilical cord at his birth. They believe that the baby's personality traits would be similar to the person who cut the umbilical cord. This was proven by scientists. Thus, in ancient Kazakh society, they allowed a woman who was easygoing, talented, and honorable to cut the umbilical cord. According to tradition, they presented a horse and put a chapan around the shoulders of a woman who cut the umbilical cord. There were also other traditions performed in parallel with cutting the umbilical cord as giving a name to the baby. We should preserve our national traditions. Traditions are able to change. The reason is that modern times can transform beliefs and customs into other forms. But we shouldn't lose our traditions. If we lose our traditions, then it is doubtful whether we can grow as one nation. A nation with no strong spirit and traditions cannot exist as a nation.
Дәстүрі жоқ халық болып қала алмайды.
Time moves on, times change. Even a national tradition which has been kept since ancient times develops and upgrades. But we mustn't face the loss of our traditions. Why? Because people who lost their traditions and customs cannot exist as a nation. Our traditions that we have kept and preserved for thousands of years are sacred wealth inherited from our ancestors. Therefore, let's preserve our traditions entrusted by our forefathers.